Hello, my people, and welcome back to Random Librarian here on YouTube. Today is kind of a self-indulgent, maybe even mopey video. If you follow me on Bookstagram at Random Librarians with an S, you will know that I was supposed to go to Paris on March 17th, which is likely the day that I'm going to be uploading this video. Obviously, I'm really bummed that everyone's getting sick and quarantined to their own places. It is very weird kind of just being in my apartment for the foreseeable future. I have things to do, but it's just very strange. But also I'm disappointed that I won't be in one of my favorite cities at a book convention. So backstory there is that the library where I work sends a librarian to the Salon du Livre every year to do kind of in-person research. A lot of my collection development has to happen online because we're buying books from French-speaking countries. And while there is a lot that you can learn from different listings and things, it is a huge benefit to the collection to be able to see books in person and to be able to meet smaller publishing houses, different authors who are often there, and plus it's Paris, so even if, you know, I'm there for the workday, I get like the rest of the time that I'm there to just pretend that I'm French. So today's video is going to be a little bit about the books I have on my TBR that involve, all of them involve Paris, or at least involve France. I'm gonna try not to be too mopey. I've been jokingly thinking of this we'll always have piles and piles of books about Paris instead of we'll always have Paris. I do have a flight voucher that I have to use within the next however many months, so I'll be taking some kind of vacation to Paris. So I'm trying to, you know, be positive and think of that and how much fun that will be in the future. It's just, you know, I've been looking forward to this basically since I came back from Paris last year. So obviously this is very low on the list of things that I think people should be worried about when it comes to this virus that's now a pandemic. But I don't know, I can't help feeling a little mopey about it. Sorry if that sounds absolutely insane. Anyways, in no particular order, let's get into this Paris-themed TBR. I have first The Designer by Marius Gabriel. So this I found at a Boston Public Library Friends of the Library book sale, I believe. And as such, you've already seen it in a different book haul, but this is 1940s Paris, which, you know, the fashion. She finds a genius new love in herself. Newly married Copper Riley arrives in Paris soon after the liberation. While the city celebrates its freedom, she's stuck in the prison of an unhappy marriage. When her husband commits one betrayal too many, Copper demands a separation. And then she finds an unlikely new friend, an obscure middle-aged designer from the back rooms of a decaying fashion house whose timid nature and reluctance for fame clash with the bold brilliance of his designs. His name is Christian Dior. Realizing his genius, Copper urges Dior to strike out on his own, helping to pull him away from his insecurities and towards stardom. With just a camera and a typewriter, she takes her own advice and ventures into the wild and colorful world of fashion journalism. Soon, Copper finds herself torn between two very different suitors, questioning who she is and what she truly wants. As the city rebuilds and opulence returns, can Copper make a new love-filled life for herself? Do you think Copper is kind of a weird name for a main character? But who am I to judge? And it reminds me a little bit of a comic book, bande dessinée that I've read in French called Jeune Fille en Dior, which is a fictional story of a young journalist who becomes a fashion model for Dior's designs, and then the life that she leads after that, where she meets a very well-connected rich dude and they go off and she becomes besties with Dior, which seems like a lot of fun. So this seems like it could be like that. But the images in that one is beautiful. So if you are looking for maybe the graphic novel version of this, you could pick that one up too. The next one I have is Older But Better But Older, which is from the authors of How to Be Parisian, Caroline de Maigret and Sophie Masse, which is a book that I love. It's like leather-bound red with gold titling. It's funny to me because it seems like it could be for the same audience, because they were writing for the people of their age when they wrote How to Be Parisian, and now they're writing for the people of their age when they're writing Older But Better But Older. So I don't know, but they're very cool. And this I got as an advanced reader copy from the ALA Midwinter. And the top of this has a quote from Karl Lagerfeld, which says, "You don't have to be French to be a Parisian." An inside guide to what smart, savvy, fabulous French women think, feel, and advise on life, love, and everything else as they hit 40. Playful wit, self-deprecation, and worldly advice we have come to expect from these accomplished authors, but now that advice is focused on the Frenchwoman's mindset as she hurtles towards 40. Caroline de Maigret and Sophie Masse are back to amuse you with how they find they are modifying their favorite bad girl behavior as they address beauty, love, seduction, as well as lifestyle, family, work, and living alone. They are still bohemian iconoclasts, saying what you don't expect to hear. They will tell you things aren't what they used to be when a 30-year-old guy arrives at a party and does not even glance at you, when you wake up feeling great and everyone tells you how tired you look, when the president of France is younger than you. Confidence versus neurosis, acceptance versus resistance, and passion, but with more serenity, are more the norm. As nostalgic but modern Parisian women, de Maigret and Masse examine the surprises and pleasures of aging. This book captures moments of everyday life, and from the privately absurd to the strangely universal, that will make the reader nod, cringe, and laugh out loud. I don't know. I love a good, this isn't even like a memoir. But the way they write, I do love a good memoir though. The way they write is that they have kind of inclusions of multimedia kind of things, which is very interesting. It does feel kind of like a scrapbook or like someone's journal even, so it's very fun to read their collaborative projects. I recommend those if you like Paris it girls telling you how to, pretend you are as well. Next we have Little Demon in the City of Light, which has been in my office at work, I think, at least since the last librarian, maybe from the librarian before that. So I'm gonna read it and then probably put it back there for the next librarian. It's a true story of murder and mesmerism in Belle Époque Paris by Stephen Livingston. And it is the thrilling and so wonderfully French story of the gruesome 1889 murder of a lascivious? Oh no, I don't know if I've ever said that word aloud before. Court official at the hands of a ruthless conman and his pliant mistress, and the international manhunt, sensational trial, and inquiry into the limits of hypnotic power that ensued. In France at the end of the 19th century, a great debate raged over the question of whether someone could be hypnotically compelled to commit a crime in violation of his or her moral convictions. When Toussaint Augustin Gouffet entered 3 Rue Tronçon du Coudray, he expected nothing but a delightful assignation with the comely young Gabrielle Bompard. Instead, he was murdered, hanged by her and her ruthless companion, Michel Hérault. The body was then stuffed in a trunk and dumped on a riverbank near Lyon. As the inquiry into the guilt or innocence of a woman the French tabloids dubbed the Little Demon escalated, the most respected minds in France debated whether Gabrielle Bompard was the pawn of her mesmerizing lover or simply a coldly calculating murderess. And at the burning center of it all, could hypnosis force people to commit crimes against their will? So that's very fun. Love a true crime. Love a sensationalized story. Love things that take place in Paris, as is shown by this whole TBR. And yeah, it seems like it could be fun. Then we have the Little Paris Bookshop, which is also something that I bought and put in a previous haul that I still haven't read, but it's by Nina George, and it's the blue version, which I've never seen before, so that's why I picked it up. I don't know if anyone needs the rundown of what this is, but Jean Perdu, which is a funny name for them to pick because perdu means lost. So here we are. Runs a bookshop and possesses a gift for what books go with which troubled souls come into his bookshop, which is on the Seine, which sounds ideal. He has nursed a broken heart for 21 years when the love of his life fled Paris, leaving behind a letter that he has not read in 21 years. And then he has a new neighbor who inspires him to unlock his heart, unmoor the floating bookshop, and set off for Provence in search of the past and his beloved. So, I'm not a huge romance person, so this might make me really upset, but, you know, maybe something kind of mindless is exactly what I need right now. So, this on the list. Paris is in the title. Then we have another one from the Midwinter, almost said midsummer, the Midwinter Conference, The Gilded Wolves. This is a book that's been out for a little bit. I think the second one is about to come out, and that's why they were giving away copies. It's just such a pretty, like, look at that. And I have gotten back into kind of YA and fantasy books. Again, if you follow me on Bookstagram, then you would have seen that I absolutely adored Girl Serpent Thorn, and I'm hoping that maybe it has some kind of similarities with this one. This is a novel set in Paris during a time of extraordinary change, one that is full of mystery, decadence, and dangerous desires. It's 1889. The city is on the cusp of industry and power, and the Exposition Universelle has breathed new life into the streets and dredged up ancient secrets. Here, no one keeps tabs on dark truths better than treasure hunter and wealthy hotelier Séverin Montagnet d'Alary. When the elite, ever-powerful Order of Babel coerces him to help them on a mission, Séverin is offered a treasure that he never imagined, his true inheritance. To hunt down the ancient artifact the Order seeks, Séverin calls upon a band of unlikely experts, an engineer with a debt to pay, a historian banished from his home, a dancer with a sinister past, and a brother in arms, if not blood. Together they will join Séverin as he explores the dark, glittering heart of Paris. What they find might change the course of history, but only if they can stay alive. So now I don't know why I thought this maybe was fantasy, but whatever, it still sounds fun. So I got this one to read, which I'm really excited for that one. I feel like a lot of these could end up feeling very similar because they're kind of from the same time period, but that one seems like it'll set itself apart. I think I also got this one at the conference. I don't know, but I've been meaning to read this one forever, so if I did, I don't know how I found it. But this is The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff, and it is based on true stories of bravery and resilience. That cover, like, oh, so stunning. 1946 Manhattan, so that's a little different. One morning while passing through Grand Central Terminal on her way to work, Grace Healy finds an abandoned suitcase tucked beneath a bench. Unable to resist her own curiosity, Grace opens the suitcase where she discovers a dozen photographs, each of a different woman. In a moment of impulse, Grace takes the photographs and quickly leaves the station. Grace soon learns that the suitcase belonged to a woman named Eleanor Trigg, leader of a network of female secret agents who were deployed out of London during the war. 12 of these women were sent to occupied Europe as couriers and radio operators to aid the resistance, but they never returned home, their fate's a mystery. Setting out to learn the truth behind the women in the photographs, Grace finds herself drawn to a young mother-turned-agent named Marie, whose daring mission overseas reveals a remarkable story of friendship, valor, and betrayal. Vividly rendered and inspired by true events, New York Times bestselling author Pam Jenoff shines a light on the incredible heroics of the brave women of the war and weaves a mesmerizing tale of courage, sisterhood, and the great strength of women to survive in the hardest of circumstances. I mean, wow. Also, I just really want her outfit. Like, so good. So good. Then we have The Paris Architect, which is another one that I've been meaning to read forever. This is 1942 Paris Gifted architect Lucien Bernard accepts a commission that will bring him a great deal of money and maybe get him killed. But if he's clever enough, he'll avoid any trouble. All he has to do is design a secret hiding place for a wealthy Jewish man, a space so invisible that even the most determined German officer won't find it. He sorely needs the money, and outwitting the Nazis who have occupied his beloved city is a challenge he can't resist. But when one of his hiding spaces fails horribly and the problem of where to hide a Jew becomes terribly personal, Lucien can no longer ignore what's at stake. The Paris architect asks us to consider what we owe each other and just how far we'll go to make things right. So in the library where I work, it is kind of... funny is not the right word, but like it's all I can think to use there. Just how much fiction and nonfiction exists from Nazi-occupied France. It's a lot. It's a lot, and obviously that's still a scar that they are thoroughly like turning over and over in their minds. This book got really popular, probably as a result of that. This summer I read Alice Hoffman's latest, which is The World That We Knew, which takes place in Nazi-occupied France, and also kind of deals with similar questions and similar problems, but follows the young daughter of a Jewish woman and the golem that her mother creates out of panic and desperation to save her child through this horrific time. So even like to this day, the collective memory of it is still very much in popular culture. A podcast that I follow called The Earful Tower just posted a picture the other day of like someone in full Nazi regalia because they're filming another movie about Paris during the Nazi occupation in Montmartre right now. And it's just interesting. It's just, I don't fully know how to, deal with the sheer numbers there, but it is very interesting that there's just so many books about it. Tell me your thoughts on it, because I don't really know how to deal with my own. And then the last one that I have is very poignant right now because it is called Paris Never Leaves You, and that sounds exactly like what I want to think about right now. So I'm hoping that I will just be able to embody this and be happy and go to Paris later and, not make such a big deal out of it. I feel horrible because I convinced my best friend to come with me before there were any whispers of pandemic. So she also got a flight voucher, but could have very easily just lost $600, which is no small amount of money for anybody. So yeah, complicated. Anyways, this book is living through World War II with her young daughter Vivi. Working in a Paris bookstore and fighting for her life, Charlotte is no victim. She is a survivor, but can she survive the next chapter of her life? Alternating between wartime Paris and 1950s New York, publishing Paris Never Leaves You is an extraordinary story of resilience, love, and impossible choices, exploring how survival never comes without a cost. The war is over, but the past is never past. And then we have Elizabeth J. Church, who says, an exquisite novel that gives us what we're hungry for, an intelligent, complex female character who challenges our ideas of right and wrong, morality and immorality. And Heather Morris, who read The Tattooist of Auschwitz and Silka's Journey, both of which I have here, calls it masterful, magnificent, a passionate story of survival and a real page-turner. The story will stay with me for a long time. And it's going to be out in June, so I definitely got this one at the Midwinter ALA conference. Again, I want her dress. So, those are the books that I am kind of contenting myself with until I can start planning my trip to Paris that I will take after this pandemic has calmed down. If you have any books about Paris that you would like to recommend to me, please leave them in the comments down below. sorry for kind of complaining. I'm trying to work through my feelings about this because the whole world is losing its collective mind, and I'm turning to books as a coping mechanism. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, follow me here, subscribe. I don't know how to end videos. Bye!